Hello, everyone. Welcome back to End Zone Scoop. I'm Liz, and with me are Dayna and Shona. We've just finished the regular NFL season, and now it's time to hit the road to the Super Bowl. So we're going to be talking all about that. Also on our agenda is Black Monday, which means some coaches are about to lose their jobs. We're also going to look at the season that's just gone. So how different teams did, who improved the most, or like who surprised us. Now, for those who are joining us live, don't forget you can use the chat function to ask us any questions or share your thoughts during the show. But before we get into it, ladies, it's so nice to see you both. This is our first chat outside of WhatsApp of 2024. How are you both? Did you have a nice Christmas and New Year?
Yeah, it was busy. That time of year is very busy for me. I think people maybe who've watched me on other podcasts know that, we got back from our trip from Germany, which was wonderful, and we love the Christmas markets. And then my son's birthday's the 22nd. Then we have Christmas, then my anniversary, then New Year's, and we always do a Hanukkah party for our Jewish friends too. And so we have it's just chaos for 10 days, and we love it. But then the 2nd of January comes, I'm like, yes. Okay, I can take a breath now. But it's super fun. It makes it really fun. It makes a really fun few weeks.
Oh, good. And Shona?
I lost my unmute button. I'm so sorry. It was quite manic, but it was nice because I was still working some days. So because journalism, Christmas doesn't exist in journalism. There's still news. So it was kind of some days I was like, this is cool and relaxed, and other days I was like, okay, work mode. But I wasn't really fully in work mode because no one is. But it was good. It was good. It was also my first Christmas married, so I was at my mother-in-law's. And my brother came around, so that was nice. And then New Year, we got very drunk, and I woke up at the right page of 32 and was like, you know what? I just can't do this anymore. It's just not fun. I'm over it.
It's all downhill from 30.
I'm honestly over it. I woke up and I was like, no, I can't even stand. My head hurts. I was like, this is just a no from me.
Yeah, it only gets worse from this point on. Bless you. Well, let's dive straight into the excitement of the playoffs then. Now, we are on the road to the Super Bowl, and the matchups they are going to heat up. Now, in the AFC wildcard round, we've got some really good games lined up. We've got the Steelers versus the Bills, Dolphins versus the Chiefs, Browns versus Texans. And let's not forget that the fact that the Rams have gone straight through to divisional round. Over in the NFC, the competition's just as fierce. We're going to see the Packers versus Cowboys, Rams versus Lions, which, oh my God, I am so excited for. We were talking about this last time, weren't we, Shona? Eagles versus Bucks, and then the 49ers are the ones who are then waiting in the divisional round. So I thought let's start off with breaking down some of these matches and predicting who we think might come out on top. Dayna, why don't you get us started with kind of how you think the road's going to go?
So I think it's a really interesting the way that these matches fell, especially in the AFC. And of course, there's the couple great storylines of Matt Stafford going back to Detroit, having to play Jared Goff. There's some great storylines. Tyreek Hill has to go back to Kansas City. But I think, to be quite honest with you, it's actually the way these matches fell that make it the most interesting. I cannot tell you how excited Chiefs fans are. They don't have to play the Bills in the first round. That's all you read on Twitter yesterday was, oh, thank God we won this. We've won because we do not have to play the Bills in the first round. Yeah, there's a good chance you're going to have to play them in Buffalo right after that. So that'll be interesting, I think. But if you get back to kind of the main one, the Chiefs in Miami, in Kansas City on Saturday, it's literally at kickoff supposed to be right at, freezing. So 0 degrees. We're at, 32. I mean, there's it's going to be -2. It's going to be this. No, that's wind chill. That doesn't really count down in Arrowhead, but it's going to be cold. It's going to be real, real cold. And everyone's like, oh, Miami is screwed. And I think to myself, no, they're a professional football team. They can handle playing in the cold. They've done it before. But at the same time, you have two very motivated teams. You have, a Kansas City team that is not used to not getting a week off this week, right? They've had the number one seed for a really long time. And, that have some major issues that need to be addressed. Miami is a team who has not been playing well. And I wouldn't even count that Bills game last night because the Bills are just on a freaking roll right now. But I think that you have a Miami team who you're going to have Tyreek Hill who's going to be like, when you got rid of your number one receiver and didn't replace him? Hi, that's me. I'm the problem, right? So that's going to be awesome. But at the same time, they're getting 3 or 4 players back from injury, which I think will be huge for Miami. So as a lot of people are already kind of penciling in Kansas City as the win there, they're mostly talking about the weather. And I don't think that's it. The weather and Tua. Well, Kansas City secondary is not that great, and Tua is going to be motivated. So I think that game's going to be a lot tighter than we think it's going to be. You turn around then, and the Bills who are the Bills playing again? Remind me. I'm so sorry.
The Bills are playing Steelers.
The Steelers. Well, I kept thinking Bucks, and I'm like, the NFC, Dayna, what are you thinking? The Steelers, and they are disastrous right now, right? They've lost TJ Watt at least for a little while. I think that this is kind of a congratulations, you made it to the playoff, now go home sort of a game. But the Bills are just on fire, absolutely on fire. It's going to be fun to watch.
I think it'll be really interesting. So I suppose if you think that, if the Bills, I'm looking at the little playoff thing. If the Bills beat the Steelers, and how would that work then? So
if Kansas City then wins, they'd go to Buffalo. Actually, either one, Miami or Kansas City will go to Buffalo because Buffalo's a 2nd seed. So
they're number 2 seed.
Yeah, they have to go through them there.
Yeah, I can't believe the Texans are in the playoff. That's they're freaking.
I know. So proud of them.
And they were so happy on Saturday. That was so adorable.
I think
thrilled.
Didn't they say it's the first time ever that a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback have gone to the playoffs? I think that's amazing.
I love that. That's really cute. Yeah, I'm definitely surprised.
Mike Tomlin, Magic Mike. That's going to be his new nickname from now on.
I mean, I'm thinking different things here, but
how does he get the Steelers, because they are crap, let's put it to be honest, into the playoffs. Like that guy, he must just be like, dudes, you're playing for me and that's it, and we're gonna make the playoff. Even though, like you say, Dayna, it probably will be like a one and done. Thanks for getting there, but hey, he still got them there. They're dumpster fire. They're awful.
Yeah. But that's the thing, and then
they won 11 games this year, though. Yeah, it's this
Magic Mike. I'm telling you,
it's true. In so many ways. But the thing of it is this. Yeah. But here's the thing of it is with the Steelers. They are a product of fantastic coaching. And we're going to talk about coaches. We're going to talk about Blood Monday here in a little bit. They are a product of getting your team ready for the opponent in front of you. Is it perfect? No. Does it always work? No. But that is, to me, fantastic coaching. So then when I saw those Steelers fans be like, we need to fire Mike Tomlin. Yeah, you should. Yeah, please do. So that then he can come coach in Seattle. That would be fantastic. Thank you. Make sure that happens. So stupid, right? Anyway, sorry.
Totally agree. And I think, but I do feel, I mean, we will talk about it, but I do feel like if he is to leave the Steelers, it will be mostly be on his terms. But if the Steelers really want rid of him, I hear we might have a vacancy coming out soon.
No, we won't.
I was going to say, I'd be really surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, he already
said this morning. He's not going yet.
He said this morning he's coming back next year. So we'll have one more year, Pete. But we'll talk about that when we talk about coaching.
He needs a swan song.
So who are we picturing then being in, say...
like the NFC?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the NFC because we've pretty much gone heavy on it, AFC there. I mean... Dallas aren't great on the road. I can't remember if they're playing in Green Bay or at home.
Home.
So they could be okay.
They're at home, yeah.
I don't think the Packers deserve to be there. No offense to any Packers fans, but I just feel like they're just such a nothingness team. It should have been anyone but them.
I feel like all the teams like on that bubble didn't really deserve to be in the playoffs. Like personally, I didn't even think Seattle deserved to be in the playoffs. I didn't really know what happened to our defense the second half of the season. Is like they just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Kind of. And even though there was some like talented individuals that that doesn't win you championships, as me and Dayna always say. And yeah, I don't think we deserve to be there either. I feel like the 7, obviously this is a new sort of thing they've introduced, isn't it? Like the number 7 seed. I feel like it's now proving that it's teams who are like really just not all that there that are getting into the playoffs to add an extra week.
It's a good point. I think, and what it is that it's not proving to add greater competition. And I think that was one of the things that they talked about at first, is that we're going to do this to add greater competition. And it's like, but it's not. Now, this might have been true back when you had those divisions that had 3 teams in with 10 wins. You had these super heavy, really good divisions. Or you had another team was going to get squeezed out for no reason. I got that. But we haven't seen that come to fruition over the last couple of years. And so I do think that so far it's been a failed attempt. But at the same time, the NFL was terrible this year. It was terrible. So bad. So bad. How many backup quarterbacks? It just was a bad year for comparison, I guess, more than anything. The interesting thing about the NFC, obviously, Green Bay going. I love that Green Bay is going. And I know it was at the expense of Seattle, but I was okay with that. I was really ready for the season to be over for Seattle. But the reason I love it is because of Aaron Rodgers. I don't mean to be a bitch, but come on. How great is that? Your little protege that you refuse to teach just got their team to the playoffs. I love it. I love it so much. And so that is good for you, Mr. Love. QB Love is now, I love it. I have lots of love for him. So I think that's awesome. But I think it's great. But at the same time, I think it's just good for the franchise. As we know, and a lot of other franchises, when you get rid of your franchise quarterback, there is that dread of, oh my God, we're going down a 10-year hole now. And so they've been able to prove that's not going to be the case for them. And I love that. I do think the highlight, though, of the NFC side of Wildcard Weekend is going to be the Rams and the Lions. I think that the storylines there are so good. I think you have 2 comparable teams. I think that these teams will both play well. I think Detroit has the upper hand, in my opinion. And Jared Goff will finally get the big middle finger to the Los Angeles Rams. And I think that is great.
Go on, Goff.
I know. I love it. But at the same time, Matt Stafford is playing very well. That team is putting together. They're going to have to figure out an answer for Puka Nacua. They have to figure out what they're going to do with him. And to contain him. And the Lions have had some missteps this year. So I think it's going to be actually probably one of the better games of the weekend.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Do you know what I'm really desperate for? So did you both watch the Barbie movie?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Shona, you gotta watch it. So good.
Seriously, this is awkward.
No. It's not what you think it is, I promise.
It's honestly the most amazing, just a fun movie. But what I'm picturing is Ryan Gosling as Jared Goff. And the scene where it's the scene where they're they're fighting and having the dance off. Someone just needs to put Matt Stafford's face off the other Ken and have that
dark-haired Ken
for the movie. This is what this needs to be.
It's gonna be so fun.
You know what, right? Jared Goff is Kenough. I know that one.
He is Kenough. And I think that so many people are behind this Lions team, even if it's outside their fan base, because we love what they've done. 2 years, you guys. In 2 years, what the Lions have done.
It's incredible. It's a incredible story.
I really want them to have it. I would love to see them go through to the Super Bowl. I just feel like they deserve it.
What's interesting,
it's been the underdog in the past, if that makes sense. They've been so good this season. I really want it for them.
Yeah.
I just don't know how realistic that necessarily is.
Don't see them going to the Super Bowl. Purely because all roads lead through San Francisco, which tastes very bitter to me. Which unfortunately. Yeah.
I think the interesting thing too about the Lions is the fact that they've never hosted a playoff game in this building, in their stadium, and they've never won one. And so I think that is huge. Not only did they break their playoff drought, but then they're going to turn around and get a chance to win a playoff game in front of their fans. And so I think that's a huge motivator. And we all know their head coach has balls of steel, man. He will throw anything at the wall. Should he have taken the points in the last game? Yeah, he should have, but that's okay. It's last week. It didn't matter. But at the same time, I think that's going to be really good. I think that if you look at the rest of them, I think the Cowboys should take easy care, not have a problem with the Packers. Tampa Bay, are we worried about Tampa Bay?
Surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised they're there, to be honest. I mean,
that division though is a bit of a dumpster fire.
Yeah,
it is my word.
But I will say Baker has been somewhat impressive this year. He kind of, we all thought he was going to fall apart. We all thought he turned out to be the biggest flop ever. And that didn't turn out to be the case. Is he a superstar? No. But is he more than we thought he was? Yeah. And now it sounds like there's a good chance the Bucks are going to bring him back next year, which honest to God, that would have shocked me if you told me that, at the beginning of the season. So
I'm actually interested to see how the Eagles play in this matchup. Do I think the Eagles win? Yes, but they are in a bit of a like rut at the minute where they're not performing well. Obviously, they have a wee bit of good news today that Jalen Hurts' injury is not as bad as first thought when he dislocated his finger in the middle of the game.
Grim.
I would say I think he will play. But they just I don't really know what is going on there at the minute. And obviously, like Matt Patricia's at the Eagles, he's getting a lot of flack at the minute. It's quite interesting to see how they'll actually do. And because before, like during the season, I was like, the Eagles, man, they're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be one of those teams that are just you can't break them down. You don't know how to nullify their offense. You don't know how to get around their defense. That's basically what I was thinking the whole season, but they've just like teetered at the end into these playoffs. Literally stumbled across the line.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, we were all pretty much thinking Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl again, and now I'm like, I don't see that at all. I don't feel like either of them really deserve it.
Can I tell you, I never thought that.
I never thought that either. Sorry, Liz.
Here's the thing.
Sorry.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I will tell you that when we over at Our Turf, we did our prediction show, and I predicted the Cowboys going to the NFC Championship, and I got so much crap for that. But I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like this is it. Like this could be really it for them, and them playing San Francisco. They got demolished by them before. I think there's a really good chance they beat them this time, even in San Francisco. I don't know, Shanahan,
really?
But so
do you think
I
it's
don't
going
know.
to be like? So who do you think the other one's going to be? Do you think it's going to be Cowboys Chiefs or Cowboys Ravens
For the Super Bowl or
the Super Bowl?
Ravens.
I hate to predict a Super Bowl because it all depends on who gets hurt in between time. That is, I never usually predict that. If I was forced to, I think the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl. That is pretty easy. I don't think the Chiefs are even going to make the championship game. I think if they don't get beat by Miami, they will be beat by the Bills. And so they just don't have the depth that they need there. And Taylor Swift's magic's not going to save them. They're just not it this year. Do you know what I mean? They're just not it this year. And I'm not trying to be bitchy. They just have some holes they didn't fill because they thought they could.
You're right. You're totally right.
Yeah, but we'll see. But I think it's getting the AFC Championship. You're going to end up probably with a Bills-Ravens game. Again, on paper, we never know what's going to happen. Josh Allen goes down in the next game, then it's all over. But at the same time, they're so hot cold. Who knows? And then I think it's going to come down to Dallas, San Francisco. I think that's going to be the NFC Championship game. And because I don't think 1 and 2 won't play. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I had to think of the bracket in my head. But I don't know who will win that game.
I don't know either. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. I can see both of them winning. But I don't know that anyone's beating the Ravens.
Enjoy a Super Bowl without the Niners in it. That would be nice.
Right.
Just a thought,
Right.
Sort of actively rooting against a team not to win the Super Bowl, which is what I do when the Niners are in it.
Right. Right. So Evan, who I do another podcast with on Real Hawk Talk, Evan said, my rooting interest lies solely in who is playing San Francisco. That is who I'm rooting for every time. And I think that's who all of us are because, we're having some troubles, but we can't have San Francisco win anything. So that's okay. But I don't want the Rams to either. God.
It's basically I'm on the AFC chart again. It's just what happens every season.
Go Ravens. Yeah. or Dolphins.
I'd love to see Dolphins as well. Yeah,
I'd love to see them do well too.
I wouldn't mind the Lions going to win the Super Bowl. It won't happen, but I would love it.
Yeah,
that would be
great.
I'd
love to see them, but who knows? They might surprise us.
We will see.
Indeed. So let's move on to a topic that's always a little bittersweet in the NFL world. Black Monday. We've already seen Ron Rivera, Arthur Smith both being let go. But I think the question on everyone's mind is who else is going to be on the chopping block? So let's have a look at who we think could be facing the heat and what this means to their teams going forward. So Shona, why don't you get started with your thoughts?
Well, I think Mike. I can never say his last name. Variable.
Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel, yeah.
I think he's 50-50 with the Titans. I'm not quite sure where the future sort of leaves with him. Obviously, there was that joke meme from Texans and like the Dolphins and the Bills of lifting him up because obviously they beat the Jags weekend. But I don't know if they're going in the same direction anymore for the future. So I feel like the Titans might make a switch. Obviously, the big elephant in the room is what does Bill do? Like, is Bill going to leave New England? Is he going to move on? I think if he does move on, the Atlanta Falcons are going to sweep right in. That is what I think. That is what I'm predicting. That they will go for him because I don't think Bill's ready to retire from coaching. I don't know if the journey with the New England Patriots is done. It quite possibly could be, and they want to take a new direction with their young quarterback who he's hot and cold. But we'll see what happens there. Another big one for me is if Harbaugh leaves Michigan and comes back to the NFL. He's apparently hired an NFL agent. The problem is with him.
He gets better money there, right?
He wants so much control, which a lot of owners will not accept. A few teams might, like the Chargers might. They're kind of like a hands-off ownership, so he might be able to, get the swing of things down there. The Raiders, but the question about the Raiders is, I'm pretty sure they're still paying John Gruden a ton of money. I still think they're paying Josh Daniels a ton of money. So I'm curious if they have any more money left to get a coach like Harbaugh. But that's my big picks for what's going to go on in this offseason to see what's going to happen.
I have so many thoughts here. Okay. So obviously Arthur Smith, we knew, I think even if they had managed to win the division and get to the playoffs, I think they would have replaced him. That relationship was over in Atlanta. They were done at that point. I think that we all have known since the new ownership team took over in Washington that Ron Rivera was on his last year there. But new owners have a tendency to come in and want their own guys in there. And so we knew they'd probably finish that out, but then make a switch, which will lead me to a Seattle conversation here in just a minute. And then Vrabel, it was 50-50 by the team, but maybe not by him. He has indicated that he might want to leave. And if he does leave, he wants to go straight to New England. And so the dominoes there are going to have to wait and see what happens. Does Bill stay there? Bill in his press conference this morning said that he he was willing to give up some control within the organization if they wanted to make a change. That could appease Kraft for another year. If he says, no, go hire a GM. If you think that they can do better than me, I will stick to just coaching. And that'll be his step back, if you ask me. And so I don't know that Billy B, as I always call him, will go anywhere this year. I would be surprised, honestly, if they did, unless they traded him. If some team said, we're going to give you our first round picks and this player because we want your head coach, which has happened in the past, then I could see maybe that happening. I just don't know that enough of the teams that would need him would have the draft capital in order to do that. So we would have to wait and see. And so we'll kind of see what's going on there. The rest of the coaching staff, there's a couple of question marks. I think we're going to end up with one surprise. I don't know where that will come from because everyone else seems pretty content with where their teams are at right now. Carolina fired their GM this morning. So obviously they're making a whole bunch of changes and starting over. So that one isn't a surprise, but everywhere else seems somewhat settled. There was a couple of question marks. Bill Belichick was one. Pete Carroll was the other. Pete Carroll, they came out a couple days ago that Pete Carroll's contract was not through 2025 like we had originally been told, that they had an option for 25. So really he only has 1 year left on his contract. When I heard that, it gave me two thoughts, frames of mind to be in. One, well, then it would be really easy for him to just retire this year because Pete Carroll's not getting fired, people. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen with Belichick either. They're going to find a way for him to leave or go somewhere else, or it's his decision sort of a thing. And so I thought that makes it easier. And then I thought, or he'll just stay and finish the contract he has and not pick up the option. And the reason I say that, number one, is his age, because we will be 73 going into the next season. Still the oldest coach in the NFL. But then you have to factor in the Jody Allen side of it. Jody Allen is currently the owner after Paul Allen passed away. Supposedly, there is a time frame where, for tax reasons, she needs to go ahead and get this team sold. Now, the timeline for that has varied. Some said it was by March 1st of this year. Some said, no, you have the whole year. Someone said they had all of the next year. And so, but it's coming, right? And so with that lingering, it kind of goes along with what happened in Washington. A new owner wants their own guy. So why change out a Pete now if you're going to have a new owner in the next 1 to 2 years that then is going to want to pick their own coach? And that will be part of the bargaining chip that goes into selling the team. Now, selling the Seattle Seahawks will not be hard. There's already a list of people out there who seem to be very interested in it, including a few names that make Seattle people cringe. But at the same time,
I feel like I need to know who they are.
That'd be Jeff Bezos is number one at the top there.
Yeah.
So, and that's the one that Seattle people aren't so excited about, except for some. Some are like, yeah, bring all the money. Bring on all your Amazon money. So there's interesting of that. But so I think that is one of the things that we need to keep in mind when it comes to Seattle and some of these older coaches who maybe only have a couple of years left. Then that brings me to Mike Tomlin. I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant about this, but Mike Tomlin to be fired is asinine because he has done more with nothing than any coach in the league and never gotten recognition for it. Is there a coach of the year out there? No. Has he gotten the accolades? I think the Pro Football Writers did 1 year, but it's not. He just is quietly doing his job very, very well. Now, has he lifted them to the next level? No. And that's probably where some of the holdback is from. But I need Steelers fans to just lay off the Mike Tomlin because you're so lucky to have him. Okay, I'll stop.
Magic Mike. Magic Mike. Telling you.
I like him so much.
I literally declared earlier, I was like, that man can do no wrong in my eyes. Just nothing.
It's true.
Nothing whatsoever.
People I was getting a lot of crap when I said after I was on a podcast last week, and they said, I was asked what if I would be more sad if Pete were to stay or to leave. And I said, my heart would be broken if Pete leaves. But it's not because I don't think it's time for a change. It's because I have such a fondness for Pete. But I totally get there needs to be a new change, right? And I think someone then came on Twitter and it's like, oh, you're just a Pete stan or whatever. It's like, no, I'm a Mike Tomlin stan. I just really like Pete too. So
if you listen to our podcast, me and Dayna basically want to run off and marry Mike Tomlin.
Oh, yeah, we're good. It's fine. We love him. Sorry.
No,
we like Pete
let's.
too, but we love Mike.
Hey, each their own.
Well, and like you just put on the screen, Graham said he can't believe he wants him fired when he's never had a losing season.
Yeah.
Well, and that is the definition of mediocrity for some fans. It is Super Bowl or bust. Otherwise, it is a mediocre season. So I get where that frame of mind comes from. But at the same time, he does more with less all the time.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Apparently, though, Nathaniel Hackett's came out a few days ago and said all Jets' offensive issues have to start getting fixed through him. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Good luck.
Jets. That's going to be a massive bomb next season.
I can't. I think Rodgers might make it, 8 whole plays next year. We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see, maybe. Then Hackett will still be there and ruin another young quarterback. Woohoo!
Funny. Oh, we are bishy. I love it. Anyway.
I know what's going on.
You know what it is? It's the ridiculousness of the NFL because really, let's truly be honest. It is still a game. And some people take this stuff way too seriously.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. My goodness. Very true. So obviously we've ended the regular season now. And I think it's definitely interesting. The conversations we've had kind of throughout the season. I think certainly Dayna, you said usually at the beginning, around weeks 4 to 6 is when we know a team. Mm-hmm. We did not know any teams for well past week 10, if not even later than that. But I think it's always interesting when you start looking back to see the teams, like the ones who maybe surprised you the most or the ones that improved the most and things like that. Are there any teams that kind of, I guess, you caught you off guard with their performance? Is there anyone in particular that stands out to you?
I don't know. it was a weird season, like Dayna already said. Like it wasn't like a good season like it normally is. Like you would expect like your Chiefs and your Bills to do well, and you'd expect like, well, the Niners and the Eagles, they still did well. I thought the Rams were quite surprising this year. I thought they did better than expected, and obviously they've made the playoffs. You could say the Lions, but you could sort of see that being built at the end of last season, so you can kind of see the trajectory they were going in. Otherwise, I think teams performed the way that I thought they were going to perform. I think individuals maybe surprised me more this season in terms of like your young quarterbacks coming in from the draft pick. Some of them have done really well, and I think overall, I kind of thought the playoffs, bar the seventh team, kind of went the way it was going to go.
How are you,
Dayna? I feel like we got catfish this year.
Yes.
Right? Because like we do normally by week 6, you know who a team is, and barring injury, we always say that because if your number one player goes down, then everything changes, obviously. But I just feel like we totally got a little swindled by a few of these teams.
Swindled, yeah.
I just thought when you said that.
Yeah. So it's like the interesting thing is, I think the most glaring example is probably the Eagles. Although I don't know why they had as horrible a schedule as anyone could ask in their opponents and how they came down. And what was interesting to me is that it's not even like injuries, really. I mean, they lost their best defensive player there for a few games in the middle, understandably so, but it just was like Jekyll and Hyde a little with that team. And it didn't start until well over halfway into the season.
Yeah.
And so I didn't understand that at all. San Francisco tried to give us a little switcheroo mid-season, losing 3 in a row. We're like, well, guess we were wrong about them. No, then they went back, and yes, one player made all that difference. And when their offensive line, no question. But I think that we pretty much knew who they were. But even they gave us pause for a minute. I think the Rams are probably the biggest surprise. We really expected them to just completely fall apart. And then the Texans, we knew they'd be better, but we didn't know how much better. And I think that all of us were Texans fans for a while there this season, especially for CJ Stroud. So interestingly, well, I don't know. I really like a couple of their defensive players too. But so that I just feel like the Bills did that. They started off terrible. By week 6, we're like, they're done. And then they came back. They went from the 11th seed to the 2nd seed in the last quarter of the season. What the hell? Like, so I hate this year.
It's like they were like, okay, let's like pretend for a while that we're kind of rubbish. And then go, just kidding, we're back.
Yeah, it's so true. But here's the interesting thing to me. I think that this season has been terrible. And it does not show well for National Football League. And so I think the whole league would like to put this year behind them. I think a lot of teams want to put this year behind them, and we'll get the Super Bowl winner, and it'll be exactly who we all expect it to be. And then we can kind of move on from there and hopefully start again. Really interesting side note, though. I was listening to a podcast, and I can't even tell you which one because I listen to probably 4 NFL podcasts a week. And someone was talking about how the failure, it might have been on Sirius XM NFL radio. I can't remember. Anyway, about how they feel like there's been this starting to decline in NFL production, and they're linking it directly back to the college game. And so about how the college game has changed so much, they don't really use their running back and their tight ends. They just throw the ball. And so I think that either the NFL is going to have to adjust or the NCAA is going to have to adjust. But so it'll be interesting to see how that meshes over the next couple of years, because especially with NIL money, which everyone I think knows that, where the college players can get paid for their name and likeness now, they are staying longer in these systems. They aren't coming out to the draft at 20, right?
Yeah.
And so at 20 years old, they're staying till they're 24, 25. And in the NFL, that's an old rookie. And they've been in these systems for so long. So we'll see how that comes out. The way this season has gone, it'll end up being Browns versus Rams in the Super Bowl. Graham, I would laugh so hard. We didn't even talk about the Browns because God love them.
You don't want to talk about it. Well, actually,
Joe Flacco.
Imagine Joe Flacco against the Ravens. Oh, I would die. I would pee my pants.
Oh my gosh, I
dear.
know. Over on Our Turf Football, all the other 3 gals, they're all in the playoffs. I'm not. So now I get to be the snarky one that gets to sit back and make fun of everybody.
I love it.
Oh.
She's all right.
Well, guys, is there anything else we wanted to talk about?
No, I just think it's going to be real interesting.
Me
The
too.
next few weeks are going to be real interesting.
I know.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to
wait,
see how it
actually.
all goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we'll see how let's start and see how this weekend goes. So yeah, should be a good
It'll
one.
be And we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about it.
We will.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we definitely will. So yeah, we'll be back 6:30 UK time, 1:30 Eastern time. So yeah, make sure if you're listening to this that you subscribe and that you join us for our next ones. But yeah, until next time, guys. Thanks for listening.